From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thanks for starting your day with us.
And I'm Ed McIntosh, as we're often going on another very warm day. We set a record yesterday in Sheridan, Wyoming, tied it in Livingston. This morning we're starting off looking out towards the Doubletree, and you can see up on the refinery where it says, "Have a safe holiday." And who would have thought that we would have been talking about, okay, be safe, a wildfire. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. 46 right now with the southwest wind at 20 miles per hour. And that humidity staying into the 20s. In fact, will likely drop down into the teens by later on in the day. So with the low humidity, the periods of strong winds, near record high temperatures across southern Montana and northern Wyoming, the fire risk goes up. We've got a lot of potential in the grassland fires that could spread. So watch, just a small spark could really spread quickly here over the next 24 hours. Things will get a little bit better by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon especially. Temperatures into the teens and 20s in western Montana, but as warm as the 50s this morning. Check out 53 in Cutbank, 54 in Great Falls, 48 now in Livingston, and 45 in Cody. Along with that, 46 at the Billings Airport. Some very warm readings. 32 for you in Sheridan. Good morning, Miles City. You're sitting at 35. The winds are brisk down the East Mountain slopes once again, so that's going to help to hold up those temperatures, but also dry the air out. With the low humidity numbers, how about 19% relative humidity in Great Falls this morning, and those 20s around Billings, Livingston, down towards Cody. That's where the potential for the wildfire spreading really is at the highest. Temperatures into the 40s, even some low 50s here in southern Montana and northern Wyoming. The exception in the Bighorn Basin. We're at 16 in Gray Bull and 16 in Basin as well. By the time we start getting into the afternoon, temperatures today warming up to the 50s, close to 60 degrees as we today celebrate Toilet Paper Appreciation Day.
Considering the year and it being 2020, I think Toilet Paper Appreciation Day is one of those up there holidays for this year, right up there with like Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day and
I think maybe this year as a holiday gift, it might be appreciated.
Yes,
you never know.
And if you're trying to figure out how much you need, someone actually took the time to set up a website to help you get that figured out.
Really?
You're looking at howmuchtoiletpaper.com. So there's options, and you can enter in things like the number of rolls you have and your toilet visits per day, and the website will tell you how long you'll last with the stock you currently have on hand. And there's even some advanced options where you can figure in the number of wipes and the number of sheets that you pull every time. And yeah, it gets down to, and it's pretty specific. And,
so the only people that have more time on their hands than the guy who created this are the people who will use it.
Yes. I don't count the number of sheets, you know, you just go for it, right? Till it feels right? This is a very odd topic. I think we should stop discussing it before things get even stranger.
Okay.
Everyone's laughing now, so.
All right. You read the news.
Don't let me talk about topics like this because I really start thinking about it. So, all right. And then you have that weird toilet paper math where like 100 sheets equals 250 sheets. It's like, what? Have you seen that?
They do the TV commercials, and it's like, you still do the same thing. You go in, use the same number of squares. I don't know.
All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to get to the news and stop diving deeper into this important topic.
I got website to visit.
Go figure it out. Thanks, Ed.
Bye.
Our top story this morning, it's a historic day in the battle to end the pandemic. All eyes are on the United Kingdom, where the first people are already receiving Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Here in the U.S., the vaccine rollout could start later this week. CBS's Deborah Alfarone brings us the latest.
They're calling it V-Day in the United Kingdom.
It's the beginning of the end of this pandemic.
Today, the country kicks off a mass coronavirus immunization program.
Top of that priority list includes people in care homes as well as the over 80s.
87-year-old Dr. Harry Shukla is one of the first to get the vaccine.
A big relief, because I think it's not an ordinary crisis.
Here in the U.S., the Food and Drug Administration may authorize the Pfizer vaccine this week. Today, President Trump hosts a White House summit to promote the rapid development of COVID-19 vaccines.
And it's very transparent because the data upon which they base that decision will ultimately become totally public.
A report from the New York Times says the Trump administration passed up the opportunity to buy more doses of the Pfizer vaccine beyond an initial 100 million. The decision could delay the delivery of a second batch until June. But the administration says the report is false and points to 5 other candidates, including Moderna's, which the FDA could authorize later this month.
Operation Warp Speed seems poised to deliver vaccines on an historic, almost miraculous timetable.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers continue negotiating a coronavirus relief package.
It's going to take a sense of urgency now, Mr. Leader.
The $908 billion bill is held up on aid to state and local governments and business liability protections. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Congress is expected to pass a one-week extension to fund the government past Saturday. The hope is to attach a coronavirus relief package onto a larger bill that funds the government. Here in Montana, a 50th Bighorn County resident has passed away from COVID-19 complications. 3 additional Yellowstone County residents have died as well. But we now know our area of the state will be among the first to receive the vaccine. Governor Steve Bullock announced Billings Clinic and St. Vincent Healthcare will be 2 of the 10 Montana hospitals given doses by mid-December. They're set to arrive here by the 15th. Then 3 weeks later, the hospitals will be given a second round of vaccines. And meanwhile, Wyoming residents will have to follow tighter restrictions as the state's hospitals see a record number of patients and rising COVID-19 deaths. Starting tomorrow, face coverings are required in all counties. Outdoor gatherings are limited to 10 people, and bars and restaurants must close at 10 p.m. Governor Mark Gordon announced these measures yesterday and said they would be effective through January 8th. A South Billings home is likely a total loss after fire crews found it engulfed in flames just after 11 o'clock last night. People were inside the house at 402 South 39th Street when it caught fire. Thankfully, no one was injured. This is a look of the home from Google Maps. The cause is under investigation by both the Billings Fire and Police departments. Fire officials estimate the flames caused $75,000 in damages. New this morning, the Billings City Council approves over $1 million in equipment upgrades for the police department. The largest portion of the funds will go toward making police interactions with the public safer. That means increased training for officers to use less lethal options during arrests. On top of the training, the department will purchase new beanbag rounds, pepper spray, and tasers. And improvements are also on the way for body cameras. The city will pay for the upgrades with Federal CARES Act funding. Before the budget can be finalized, it will need to be opened up for public comment before another vote at an upcoming meeting. More than 1 week later, there are still no arrests in a fatal pedestrian hit and run in Bighorn County. 32-year-old Jeremy Eastman of Hardin was killed last week Sunday evening while walking along River Road A between Hardin and Crow Agency. His family and friends have shared this social media post asking anyone with information to come forward. The Montana Highway Patrol says a pedestrian was struck from behind by an unknown vehicle. The FBI and BIA are conducting a joint death investigation, but could not confirm it involved Eastman. Turning to the latest in politics, today the Montana Legislature's Rules Committee will get together for day 2 of meetings looking at how next year's session will move forward amid the pandemic. Republican lawmakers proposed allowing anyone who doesn't feel comfortable to participate remotely. Democrats want more proactive steps taken at the Capitol, including making masks mandatory. But Republicans don't want to set pandemic-related rules in stone.
What we can do is be responsible, and that's what this rule does, is allow us to take responsibility, enact different things that are necessary at the time. Certainly what's happening today with COVID will, in my opinion, look differently in 3 weeks from now.
When can the people of Montana, our small business owners, our frontline workers, the people who are out there depending on having their voice heard at the legislature, going to know the firm rules of how this Capitol is going to be safe for them to participate in?
The committee will take official action on the guidelines next week. Governor-elect Greg Gianforte is looking to change things up as he moves from Washington, D.C. and settles in as governor. He says he wants to get schools open again. He's searching for his cabinet and plans to tackle the ongoing COVID-19 crisis. He sat down with MTN's Mike Dennison for his first one-on-one interview since winning the election.
Gianforte says he's hit the ground running since winning November 3rd, choosing his inner circle and now nailing down his cabinet, who will run state agencies.
Cabinet picks are incredibly important. I campaigned on bringing new leadership to these agencies, bringing a culture of customer service back. I got the short list from the nominating committees last week, but there are still resumes coming in.
He says most picks should be unveiled later this month. Also in the next 4 weeks, Gianforte says he hopes to lay out preliminary recommendations from his appointed task force to get COVID-19 under control in Montana.
I've asked the task force to look at this from every angle, from how are we going to distribute vaccines to how we're going to do testing. What restrictions should be in place for small business?
As for public health mandates or restrictions, Gianforte isn't tipping his hand too much yet. But he said while he'll be wearing a mask in the Capitol and recommending others do too, he indicated he probably won't be requiring it.
I generally believe in personal responsibility rather than mandates. I think Montanans will do the right thing when presented with the facts. And we have a serious health condition, and we have to consider the health and well-being of others as well.
When it comes to schools, Gianforte says he wants to get classrooms open across the state because face-to-face learning is vital, and that he believes it can be done safely.
I'm optimistic with the coming of the availability of a vaccine. As we make that available to families and teachers and our frontline healthcare workers, we're going to be able to get back to normal, and we have to for the sake of the future of our kids.
He'll also be working on a new budget and getting ready for the legislature, which he expects will start on time on January 4th. But the former software entrepreneur made clear that the economy and the health of Montanans is paramount on his mind.
Ultimately, I want to make it easier for small businesses. I want to make it easier for the families that are struggling, particularly those that have lost jobs through this period of the pandemic. We need to get healthy, and we need to get our economy going again. I'd like to look back, and people say that when Greg Gianforte took office, that was the turning point towards better outcomes for more Montanans.
So far, it looks like Mr. Gianforte is proceeding much as he promised in his campaign, in a deliberate business-like approach. What that means for specific policy steps to address the pandemic and the economy, for that, we'll have to wait a bit longer. Reporting from Bozeman, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Gianforte will be sworn into office as Montana's 25th governor on January 4th. And making this morning's national headlines, Joe Biden continues to fill his cabinet, and the president-elect intends to nominate Lloyd Austin as his Secretary of Defense. Austin is a former four-star Army general who retired in 2016. If confirmed, the 67-year-old will become the first African-American to lead the Pentagon.